I was standing on the curb with 2 suitcases and a box of photographs, watching strangers walk through my house, taking measurements, planning their new life in the rooms where I'd built mine. The bank had foreclosed. I'd lost everything. And that's when I finally understood what my father had been trying to tell me for 30 years. The man had been dead for 3 years, and only now, completely broken, homeless, did his words finally make sense. And I'll never forgive myself for learning it too late. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see success forever. And hit that subscribe button. My name is David, and my father was a failure. At least, that's what I thought my entire life. He worked as a maintenance guy at an apartment complex. 40 years, same job, same uniform, same hands covered in grease and paint. He drove a beat-up truck, lived in a small rental house, never owned anything worth bragging about. Meanwhile, I became everything he wasn't. MBA from a top school. VP at a tech company, corner office, 6-figure salary. I bought a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs with a pool, drove a BMW, designer suits. The works. Every time my father visited, I could see him looking around my house with this expression, not pride, not jealousy, something else I couldn't name, and it annoyed me. Like, I'd made it, Dad. Why can't you just be happy for me? We'd have these awkward lunches where I'd talk about my promotions and he'd just nod, and finally he'd say something like, "Just make sure you know what you're building, son." What does that even mean? I'm building a life, Dad. A real one. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack. Quick. And I'm ashamed to say I felt relieved. No more uncomfortable lunches. No more cryptic advice. No more reminder of where I came from. But then, everything fell apart. It started small. The company I worked for got acquired. Restructuring, they called it. I got a severance package and thought, no problem, I'll find something better. Except I didn't. 6 months of interviews. A year. The money started running out. I burned through my savings. Then I started missing mortgage payments. Just temporary, I told my wife. Something will come through. But nothing did. And my wife? She left, took the kids, said she couldn't do this anymore. By this, she meant me, the failure, the guy who couldn't provide. The bank sent letters, final notices. I ignored them because I was convinced something would save me. Some job, some miracle. There was no miracle. The foreclosure notice came on a Tuesday, 30 days to vacate. And you know what the crazy thing is? I kept thinking, my father would never understand this. He never owned anything. He never built anything. He doesn't know what it's like to lose something real. But I was about to learn how wrong I was. The day I moved out, I was standing on that curb, everything I owned in 2 suitcases and a box, watching the new owners walk through my front door. And suddenly, I remembered something my father said at one of our last lunches. We were sitting at this diner, and I was complaining about work stress, deadlines, office politics, the pressure to perform. And he looked at me and said, "You're building a house on sand, son. The bigger it gets, the harder it falls. I never built much, but what I built, nobody could take from me." I'd rolled my eyes. Classic Dad, making poverty sound noble. But standing on that curb, I finally got it. My father never owned a house, but he had friends who'd known him for 40 years. He never made 6 figures. But he never missed my soccer games, never missed a birthday, never missed a single moment that mattered. He never had a corner office, but every tenant in his building knew his name, trusted him, called him when they needed help. He built relationships, community, presence. And when he died, 200 people showed up to his funeral, people I'd never met, telling me stories about how he'd helped them, fixed their sink at midnight, lent them money they never paid back, listened when they were going through divorces, deaths, depression. My father was rich in every way that couldn't be taken from him. And me? I'd built everything on a salary, a title, a house. All of it could disappear in a year, and it did. I moved into a studio apartment, smallest place I'd lived in since college. I got a job at a hardware store. Ironic, right? My father's son, finally working with his hands. And for the first time in my life, I started paying attention. I noticed the regular customers, learned their names, helped an older guy fix his leaking faucet, stayed an extra hour to walk him through it, started showing up to neighborhood cleanup days, coached a kids' basketball team on weekends, small things, the kind of things that don't show up on a resume or a tax return. And something strange happened. I felt wealthier. Not financially, I was broke, but wealthier in the ways that actually matter. People knew me, trusted me. I had a place in the world that wasn't tied to a paycheck. 6 months after I lost everything, I got a text from one of my old colleagues. Drink sometime? I hadn't heard from him since I got laid off. Radio silence. Because when you lose your job, you learn real fast who your real friends are. Spoiler, not your work friends. But the guy from the hardware store who I taught how to install a ceiling fan, he invited me to his daughter's graduation. The neighbor whose trash cans I brought in every week, she brought me soup when I had the flu. My father had tried to tell me, you can lose your house, your job, your money, but you can't lose who you are to people. That's the only thing that lasts. And I'd spent 30 years thinking he didn't understand success. He understood it better than anyone. I'm doing better now. Got a better job. Saved up enough to rent a small house. My kids visit on weekends. My ex-wife and I are civil. I'm rebuilding, slowly. But I'm building different this time. I don't work late if it means missing my son's baseball game. I know my neighbors' names. I help people when I can, even when there's nothing in it for me. I'm building the kind of life that can't be foreclosed on. I just wish my father was here to see it, to know that I finally got it. But maybe he does know. Maybe he knew all along that I'd have to lose everything before I understood anything. If this story hit you, smash that like button and subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what did you have to lose before you learned what really mattered? I'll see you in the next one.